We're back at it again with another session of talking college football. My boy Faro. We're at week 5 of the college football season. Week 4 is done and over with. I'm rocking the Gator hat just because
The
I said,
hat is back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means.
I said this was probably my last opportunity to wear it. I could have went Bama today because we're going to talk Bama Georgia later. But I'm like, hey, I could have went Braves again, but I was like, no. I wore the Braves hat last week. The Braves got to win.
You guys probably beat one of the worst teams in NCAA, but a win is a win is a win.
Yeah.
Conference game on the road at noon.
Exactly. Like listen to Josh. You listen to Josh Pry, the comedian Josh Pry is like, hey, you can't tell me nothing. We beat an SEC team on the road.
Amen. Amen to that, brother. I'm glad to see you with your Gator hat on.
I mean, I just like I say again, I said I wasn't going to wear one until we won like against a 2 in a row or won 2 times against the team in the FBS Power 4. But obviously we're not playing this week, so we've got a bye week. So I'm like, okay. UCF, by the way, is probably going to rush for 500 yards on us, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, like I say, the Gators got off the schneid. Florida State got off the schneid.
Hey, 3-0 for the big three this weekend.
Yeah, the Canes took care of business. But yeah, it was talking about the Gators. Like I say, they offensively, that was kind of what we were hoping for. With Mertz, what's amazing was there was only 2 balls on the ground between both quarterbacks. So they completed balls at a high percentage. They threw the ball down the field a little bit. They had a touchdown called back. That would have been a big play on a blind side. Did you see that block?
I talked about it with a couple of people. I see both sides. That's just where we're at in foot.
I guess here's what it was. It shouldn't have been called a blindside block because the guy literally turned.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. I agree.
The crackback basically has been outlawed in college football and in the NFL. So then that needs to be a rule. No crackback blocks anymore, which I don't know if that's set into place, but
you know what's going to happen. The running backs coach is going to tell Montreal, hey, Montreal, just run, stand in front of him and put your hands up.
Yeah,
if he runs into you, if he runs into you and falls down, that's on him. Yeah. But like I say, I see both sides of it. I don't want to see the side of where the flag was thrown, but you know what? The officials are in a tough spot where they're being told you got to call these things, and unless it's the Kansas City Chiefs you're playing against, they're going to call it. But it's just where we're at in football now. Football is
like I say, it's one of those things where, like I say, I could see if it was like blatantly like the guy turned and he crushed him, but like the guy took 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah,
and he should have saw him. But again, whatever. Again, that was a great play by Maisel, the young receiver who, like I say, we knew he was super fast and he got out of there and he had a big day. That would have even been a bigger day if they would have kept that one on the board. That would have been, big time touchdown. But going back to Mertz and Lagway, as they let Mertz get the bulk of the drives, and I will say, I guess, to Billy's credit, he let Lagway get his reps. Hell, both of Lagway's drives started inside his own 10. And, he was 7 for 7 for 76 yards, and completed all his balls, didn't really get out of there running. But Mertz was highly efficient, which was good to see, completions, catching balls downfield. But me talking to some of my other Gator buddies and just whatever, Montrell Johnson, his carries got to go down, dude. I'm going back to, ETN last year, Montrell got the bulk of the carries. They split carries, whatever. One is not a difference maker. Like when you watch Trayon run, when you watch Jaden Ball run, it's just different, man. Those guys.
Who's the other kid that got in there?
Jacoby Johnson.
Jacoby, that's it. Yeah.
Dude, those guys hit the hole with some damn
100 miles an hour.
Yes. And they're getting those edge runs.
So let me ask you this. Do you think it's Montreal trying to preserve the body?
It could be a combination.
I was going to say, is he over it?
Right. Is he, as far as the whole, hurt knee that he had in preseason camp, comboed with maybe he's just not that guy. Maybe he's not. I mean, he's never been the explosive guy.
No.
Obviously he had the big run against Miami. But
he's more of a downhill guy, but that's not their scheme.
It's not. And it just it looks better and different when Webb and Ball and those guys they just hit it
totally
different.
agree. I totally agree. And that was going to be one of the things I was going to say. It was great to see those younger guys get on the field.
Yeah, and so if you want to have any chance of winning some games this is the problem now that I see with the Gators. They're maybe coming to form a little bit on offense. So maybe they're figuring it out a little bit. I know obviously Samford and Mississippi State are terrible, but if you can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Mertz is going to be the guy, but we're going to play DJ to get him in some spots, to get him some, reps, get him to play, get some explosives from him. If Mertz can be that highly efficient guy like he was last year, and you can somehow find a run game with these younger guys to be balanced on offense to where you can at least score points, that's going to be good. But now my biggest problem is we ain't stopping nobody. And Mississippi State was one of the worst damn run offenses in the country, and they ran it at freaking will, dude. And it's like, where the hell is the D line? Like, where is the linebacker? That's what I'm saying.
You have one of the biggest D lines in the country, and you guys get that they're terrible. They're bad.
I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's they just are not good players. Effort, like all that. And so
what
I see now is where it goes back to last season. We're gonna have to get into some sort of shootout game and try to match the team, and then
I just
offensively we're not gonna be good enough.
No, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, because even watching the game, I'm still seeing the same plays called, and it's like, dude, if you guys really run this end around one more damn game, like the same end around they run with Trey. And you're just like, and Eugene, and you're just like, come on, man. Like, Billy, let's be more creative and let's get more plays in there. But like you said, they're not stopping the run. And UCF leads the country in rushing, I believe. They average like 200 some yards.
They're second in the country in rushing. And so
it's
teams are just going to line it up and run on us.
Yep.
Like,
it was
Georgia, freaking Tennessee, Kentucky. Like, all those teams are just going to be like, let's just line it up and run it right at them.
Hey, man. But, hey, the positive, your TC boys got some TDs this weekend. Austin Barber with a TD. Burke had a big catch in the corner.
Finally got him going a little bit. He had the nice little stutter and go. Yeah, Austin recovered a fumble. And then, Trayon had a couple nice runs and a touchdown too. So, yeah, that was pretty awesome to see the three TC boys getting all into paint. But, yeah,
hey, still younger. At this point, you're not expected to, you're not expected to win. Hey,
this is almost, it's a throwaway season. So, like,
man, if like we joked about in our text group and before we started, if I'm a coach and we're struggling, I just put on the Antonio Pierce soundbite. There's a lot of guys making a lot of business decisions on the football field. So we're, as a coach, I got to start making a lot of business decisions. And if that means I need to sit you down, All-American, junior, senior, because you're not getting it done, and put the young guy in because the young guy is hungry and wants to play, it is what it is at this point. If you're Billy, hell, even Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
For those two coaches, it's malpractice if you don't put the younger guys in that are just ready to go out there and play.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I say, it's one of those things where, let the youth movement happen.
Yeah.
Play, like you said it last week, play the guys who want to freaking play, play the guys who are given that effort and practice and they want to be on the field. If you don't want to be on the field, then don't freaking play. Then you're going to be in the portal anyway. So, it's just one of those things where you got to just let the season play out. The schedule's about to get daunting after basically, like, UCF is one of those teams where I thought this would have been a win because we're at home. Like, I feel like the rosters are comparable. It's not like UCF has like some like unbeatable roster. Now, Gus Malzahn's he's always got a good scheme. He runs the ball well, and they're showing that so far. But again, even going into that game next week, we'll break it down next week. But it's just like thinking like
heavy tempo run game.
How much better is UCF really than us? Like, we should be able to play. Like, this should be a fourth quarter ball game, and we should be in it, and we should have a chance to win. But
what you need
will that happen? I don't know.
What you need this weekend is for Colorado and UCF to get in a shootout to where they just get tired and they get a little hangover for next week.
Right. That's the only thing I can see that happening, to where Colorado, that's their MO. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they get, into a 4-quarter just mauler, brawler, shootout game and just, maybe they're too high, too low, worn down, whatever the case may be.
But if you can't stop the run, it doesn't matter. Run game travels.
You better be like in the lab this week, and you got however many days to figure something out. Like, hey, this is our weakness. We suck at stopping the run. What are we going to do different? Like, besides manning up, like scheme wise, what are we going to do to basically be like, you know what, we got to stop the run. We need to figure something out. Because
even when you go man up and you try to do that, Mississippi State was still able to get some shot plays down the field.
Yeah,
and, still be able to run the ball. Like,
what's crazy was in that game, I was happy with the defense in certain sense. They got off the field, but it's just like they would be like, you know what, let's just give up this drive. And like Mississippi State,
when it was 28-7 at one point.
Yeah, right before the half. You're up 28-7, and they went right down the field, no problem. And it's just like, okay, like I say, the backup quarterback comes in the game, right down the field, no problem. I mean, they rushed for 240 yards, man.
That's insane. And that's a bad team. They got worked by Toledo.
Yeah. Hell, Toledo held that same team on the ground to like 66 yards or something. A week ago.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know what you do during the bye week, but you gotta figure something out. You gotta figure something out if you have coaches. Like, just it's just like you say, if it's time to go to Trayon and Ball and those guys, and then like you say, DK and Badger have stepped up. Mizell has stepped up at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Hey, just start taking shots down the field. I know Billy, that's not what he wants to do, and whatever the hell he said last season. But you have to loosen up the defense a little bit to at least try to run the ball.
Yeah. Like I say, the Gators were one to get off the schneid. We could jump
wear your hat. I know you could wear your hat in pride and whatnot. Hey, you guys were 7 for 9 on third down?
Yeah, no, statistically, offensively, they played good. Like, they played good offensively. Like, again, you only had 2 incomplete balls all night. That's a pretty good day,
Right. But you got to figure out a way how to slow them down. Like you say, theoretically, the rest of the season, you want to be in shootouts with everyone because your defense is bad, kind of like how LSU was last year. But you just don't have LSU's offense.
No, that's exactly that was the Gators last year. You think about some of those games, it was
even Florida's offense,
like they after that South Carolina game when they kind of figured it out, that was the figure it out game. South Carolina, they were down, they started throwing the ball downfield, hit some big shots. The offense looked better, defense was terrible, and that's kind of how it was the rest of the way. Defense was just as bad against like Arkansas and Missouri, the LSU game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Georgia did whatever they wanted on us, but like that's where you were like, okay, we scored enough points against Arkansas. We thought we scored enough points against Missouri. The Florida State game is kind of out of the mix because it was 2 backup quarterbacks. But that's kind of what, like, look at the schedule again. UCF, maybe like they're the weakest team out of the rest of the schedule on the schedule, and they're pretty good. So going to Knoxville the following week, forget about it. Kentucky, we don't know what Kentucky is. I'm interested to see Kentucky this week against Ole Miss, so we can kind of get a barometer check on Kentucky, because they were so bad, and then all of a sudden they played Georgia so good, but then after that, Georgia, hell no. LSU, hell no. Ole Miss, Texas, the sorriest other team on the schedule is Florida State. So,
well, I normally I would tell you week by week, but it's a bye week, so we can kind of look ahead for the Gators.
That's what I'm saying. So,
but this bye week, I don't give those guys off. I may give them 1 or 2 days off, but at the same time, it's like they don't deserve to be off.
No, they need to be working. Like, they need to be in the lab. Like I say, they need to figure something out on defense to help out whatever maybe you've fixed some stuff on offense.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, come up with some new wrinkles on offense, and then really, like, Billy, like, I know Montrell's your guy, but again, this is going back to the ETN thing last year, where guess what? These guys are better than him.
Yeah, it's time to have some tough conversations.
They give us coaches always talk about, we're going to play the guy who gives us the best chance to win. Well, guess what? 5 and 13, they give you a better shot running the football to keep your offense balanced. So Don't be
I totally agree, because that was one of the things I was going to talk about today. Is the younger guys look pretty good just across the board, and if you got to go younger, go younger. It is what it do. Yeah. At this point, we've been saying it for the first 3 weeks. You're going to be fired. If you're going to be fired, go down swinging, dude.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what, guys, the hell with it. I love Montreal. You're my guy. I love you, but
you're going to play. You're still going to play. You're still going to play.
Right.
You know,
we'll still start you, but your carries are
going, exactly.
We'll put both of you on the field. That makes you feel good, but this guy's going to get the ball more than you.
Yeah. Like I say, I saw some before we get off the Gators. I saw another thing about message board fodder about Lane still really wants the job. So I guess there was a person who worked with him at FAU.
Yeah.
And said the reason why he was going to go, the reason why he went to Ole Miss because his daughter was there, but now she's pretty much established herself and she's good to go. So now he's like, he really would want to go to Florida. It's just going to come down to the timeline and all that other stuff.
The timeline just doesn't set up because, like you say,
there is another name. I won't tell you now because it's sourced out and I don't want to say anything. But there is another guy who's emerged. We could talk about it later on. It's a pretty interesting name. Yeah. Who I'd be totally on board with too. But we'll see if it catches any fire from. I've got a source that said somebody else is interested.
Yeah,
and they're already coaching college football right now too. So it's
all about timelines.
We'll save that. Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. We'll save that one for about later.
For any job that's going to open within the next 5 to 6 weeks, it just comes down to timelines and are these coaches in the playoff? Do they have to fulfill contract obligations of playing in the bowl game or yada yada yada?
Yeah, but if I want Lane to be my coach, I'm rooting for Ole Miss to lose.
You got to root for a lot of losses by Ole Miss because, like I say, even if somehow they're the 12th, they're the 12th team, they still don't play to the end of December.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You missed
signing
the first
signing
day.
Signing day and portal is open already.
And then by the time they play, it's about to close. And then you got to jump on and get ready for the second signing day, the mini signing day per se. That's why I keep saying
the other big caveat me and Gator Dave were talking about was they're thinking about doing away with that second portal in the spring. So if they do
they've been talking about it.
If they do that this year, you're totally fucked.
Yeah,
because
it's tough.
You're gonna miss. So
yeah,
you're gonna have 28 walk-ons.
But to be honest with you, that second transfer portal is that's mainly for the guys that play in like the championship game. Remember last year?
I feel like too that I haven't talked about is you get that you get like a secondary window when you do a coaching change. I thought too though, but I don't know.
So the rule is if your coach leaves, there's a 30-day window. They're not going to change that. So if your coach leaves, there's a 30-day window to where guys could leave and go to another school, but that doesn't mean they could come in, but they could leave. Plus, there's an interesting article that I saw about Saban. When Saban retired, it changed 400 jobs.
I saw that
That's
Instagram
insane.
story.
Nuts.
Yeah, because it's like the domino effect. This guy leaves here, this guy goes there, this guy gets a better job, this guy does this, offense coordinator goes here. It's just a domino when somebody like that. I mean, and it happens too, just in the cycle of whenever coaches move and shuffle, like the carousel and dominoes of where guys go when they retire. But yeah, Saban for sure, because a lot of jobs were shaken and moved all around.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the other team that finally got a dub, we'll go to the Seminoles next. The Florida State Seminoles put on an offensive performance of scoring 14 points and came out with a W.
Dude, that game was
That game was horrible. Luckily, I was at Alanis Morissette. And I was literally, when I was leaving the concert, I put my phone on. We were walking out, and it was literally the last drive there that Cal had the opportunity to try to go down to win the game when they
Marvin Jones had 2 big sacks.
Yeah.
So I'll sum the game up for you. There was a lot of field goals by Cal.
Yep.
They missed 2. They made 4. No, sorry, 3.
Yeah, it could never get in the end zone.
He could never get in the end zone. I mean, Cal had over 400 yards of offense. Florida State pretty much had the bend but don't break approach on defense, and they did a great job of keeping Cal out of the end zone and just held them to field goals because between the 20s, Cal was kind of moving the ball pretty easy. The one thing that tripped me out about the game on the flip side, watching Cal defense, they really did not pressure DJ like with 5-6 guys. They were getting home a little bit with 4 guys. They would send a blitz here and there. And Florida State was kind of moving the ball. The guy I've been saying should have been getting the ball for the last 2 years, Toa Philly. Toa Philly in the first half.
17 carries
for 80 yards. Yeah. First half, I think he had like 9 or 10. And the offensive line wasn't terrible this game. But like I said, then again, Cal wasn't really blitzing or rushing a lot, only in situational downs, like a 3rd and long or whatever, or a big 3rd down, they would blitz. But Florida State couldn't do anything. Toa Philly had the touchdown in the first half. It was 9-7 going into the fourth. Ja'Kai Douglas had a great catch in the corner of the end zone for a 36-yard touchdown with like 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter to put it 14-9, and that was pretty much it. I mean, Josh Farmer stepped up a little bit this week.
When you look at, like you say, the numbers, when you think Cal's quarterback, if you say Cal's quarterback threw for 300 yards and then they rushed for 100, you're like, damn, they probably had some, like, to only have 3 field goals, like, that's bad.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And they had plenty of
you would have gotten the paint, and like you said, you missed some field goals too. Like those missed field goals were big because if you hit those, you got more than 15 or 14. So again, hats off. You got the dub. Like you say, a win is a win. Like we said before,
because like going into that game,
it's very uninspired. At least Florida like put together like numbers and like
you got to put up more than 14. And
man,
going into
you better score more than 14 in Dallas this week.
Yeah. Going into this past weekend, going into the Cal game, us and everybody else picked Cal because Florida State gave you no reason to pick them.
Right.
They won a game at home at night, but like you say, it still wasn't impressive. It was just like,
because guess what? Are you picking them Saturday?
Hey, it looked like they figured out some things out there in Dallas because they were a little shaky the last couple of weeks, and then TCU was making fun about the game being on the CW, and then got 66 hung on them. So the one thing Cal has is Florida speed. SMU. Sorry, SMU. SMU has a ton of Florida speed on their team.
They got some good transfers from obviously Miami. They got a couple Miami transfers. They got some plus Dallas. Texas. They got Texas boys on that team too.
Yep.
So SMU definitely, is a problem.
So where Florida State,
I can't pick after Florida State got the win. I still can't pick them. They didn't do enough to me. Like, oh, they finally figured it out. They did enough. They did enough to barely pull it out. Like you see what the headline says, edge. They edged out Cal.
Yeah.
They
did. They truly did. Like watching that game, they truly did edge out Cal. I mean, it was It was a 3rd down where Jones Jr. got a sack and made it 4th and 18. Cal still picked up the 4th and 18 on the last drive.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like, guys, it's 4th and 18. Like, we know where they're going. They're not going to the end zone. They're going to try it because they're too far back.
They were like, I think they got a sack on the previous play to make it 3rd and 18 and or make it 4th and 18. And they were like celebrating so much. They were celebrating so much like the game was over. I'm like, you still got to play 4th down.
Yep.
And then they gave it up.
And then Cal just couldn't do anything. The field just got condensed to where they couldn't do anything.
I think that's what happened to Cal the most. When I did see some of it and I did see some of the replays, they were not good when it got down to the red. Yep. And when the field shrunk on them, they couldn't operate like they needed to.
Do anything. Yeah.
And like I said, that's
fine.
Yeah. And that makes it tough for teams when they're challenged offensively because you go back to the Auburn win. They didn't score a lot of points on the Plains either.
No.
And we see that Auburn. We'll get on Auburn later, but
a lot going on in Auburn today.
Here's the one thing I will say too, Faro. The Gators aren't the worst team in the SEC. We're one of the worst.
Obviously, you guys beat Mississippi State, so Mississippi State's the worst team in the SEC.
That's what I'm saying. I think
even
Auburn.
Hey, I was interested to see y'all play Vandy. Y'all would lose to Vandy this year.
I'd rather play.
Hey, y'all would lose the Vandy this year, buddy.
Here's what's crazy is that's what I'm saying. I would. You got to look at the rest of the schedule. I'd rather play Vandy than all the rest of those SEC teams. Though.
Yeah, you're like no Vandy, no South Carolina. The teams y'all normally beat up on and get 2 wins.
Yeah, instead we get Ole Miss and Texas. We get Ole Miss and Texas this year.
I mean, yeah, it's still not good.
Thanks. Texas A&M, we get them. Ole Miss, Texas,
yeah, maybe
like the Old West.
Maybe if y'all played OU, y'all might be able to get a win. Yeah, they're pretty bad too.
I don't know. See, we'll get ahead. We're not, I don't want to get too far ahead. Oklahoma, it's weird. They're going through a quarterback change that might spark them, kind of like Texas A&M.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, the Noles got to win. We'll talk about. We'll break down their game with SMU here in a little bit.
You got a dub. You want to build on it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, the Canes, it was tight a little bit early, but we knew, kind of like the Bama game, once they figured some stuff out, once they made some adjustments, once they kind of wore them out. I mean, you guys flat wore them out, hung 50 on them. Are you coming around to my side about you guys are more of a throwing team than a running team yet? Or you still got to see more of it?
We need to run the football. That's a problem.
I don't disagree with that.
We got to run the football.
I don't disagree, but I'm telling you, you guys are a high flying operation, man.
No. I'm not. I've never disagreed with that.
No, you still run for 188.
Well, take a 91-yard touchdown out of that. Yeah. What do you have?
100 plus.
Nope. 188 minus 91 Spawns is under 100.
It's almost 100.
That's not. Well, going into the game.
But when you throw it for 400, that's going to.
Well, you figure going into the game that all the shit talk that USF fans and their school had this past week going into this game, they were going to upset Miami and this and that. So you knew they were going to pull out all the stops. They ran Philly to get a touchdown. And then they had a hell of a great. Did you see the onside kick? It wasn't like really an onside kick. They just dropped it right in the hole where the kid stepped out of bounds. Well, he got it. They reviewed it, but they were offsides at the same time. And USF just came out and played in the first half. And I think Miami kind of stooped to their level in a sense of it was a lot of chippiness during the game where Miami total had 11 penalties for the game, but 8 of the 11 were in the first half. And I think once they settled in, the defense definitely settled in and pitched the shutout in the second half. What's crazy was,
what I was going to say too was, what we said in the pod last week was USF can't throw it. They're more of a running operation. They completely shut the run down and they ended up throwing for 300 yards. It was like, what is, but it was like kind of like meaningless numbers in a sense.
It was a lot of bend but don't break type things too. And Miami did after that one touchdown where guys just got out of their lanes. It was just a busted assignment where they ran the motion and then they didn't trade off properly. But yeah, it was an interesting game. Damian Martinez still ended up with three tutties. It's funny because Cam's pointing it out these days and telling people where we're running. Yeah, I mean, he did that in the Gator game as well. But
like I say, I still feel like he hasn't got on track yet. Too.
No, like that's the interception he had.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns. Well, no. I'm talking about Martinez.
Yeah. I think part of it is we don't have our complete offensive line playing. The left side's been out. The left side was out. They were mixing and matching guys too. Pancake Honcho got some plays. McCoy, then Bell was in at left tackle. So I think once they get Rivers and those guys in there, the starting 5 that they want on the field, I think we'll be able to run the football. But going into conference play, you got to be able to run the football.
No, you do. But I'm just telling you, I feel like this operation, this team this year is different. I feel like your strength is throwing the ball, and that's your number one thing.
No. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I just feel like we need to be able to still run the football. Though.
Yeah. Well, all I was saying was this team's going to look different. They're going to throw it more than they're going to run it. Is all I was saying.
Yeah, no, you know what? And I don't mind that, but I still want to be able. There's going to be a game where we're going to be Cam's not going to be on, and we're going to we got to load up and run it. But we got the backs, we got the offensive line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more so when you look at
Jacoby, got to catch that, man.
Yeah, God. When you look at the distribution, I guess obviously, like you said,
I think he had like 11, 12 receivers for the game.
No, for sure. Distribution, running the ball. It's like.
Oh yeah,
Mark Fletcher only got 3 carries. Cam ran it 5 for 43 times. So I guess, like you say, that's when you take away your quarterback run play, it's more running back style. You take away the 91-yard, then you're dwindling down to where Martinez only had 31 yards.
UCF loaded up the box, so I think our offense is good enough to take whatever the defense gives us. Because Dawson did say that in the post game presser that. He was shocked that they were more concerned with the running game and not the pass. So he was just like, well, we're just going to air it out. I mean, if they're going to load up the box and not try to stop the run, why not?
That's when, you got a good team. When you can basically say, we can be flexible. If you're going to do this, we're going to do that. And you're not going to be able to stop one of these two things.
No, 100%. The Sam Brown touchdown was awesome to see. He put it in the hole of that cover too.
Yeah, I know we're not going to do the look ahead and all that stuff, but man, y'all schedule. Like
nope. We're 1-0. We're 1-0, buddy. We're 1-0 on the VTech.
Ooh, man.
We're 1-0 on the VTech Friday night.
Yeah, which you're going to beat the shit out of them too, because they're terrible as well.
That's fine. 1-0 going into VTech. That's fine. However you want to say it. We play VTech this week. When we get to a bye week, maybe I'll look ahead a little bit, but we're on VTech conference opener at home Friday night. Pack the rock. Sam Brown touchdown. That Jordan Lyle run. That was great. That was
he was out of there.
That was the longest rush play in Miami history for a TD.
Damn, 91 yards.
Yeah, Duke had the record at 90, and the safety just got caught peeking, and he got around the corner, and he was just gone. But yeah, the defense, the thing that scared me going into the game, honestly, against USF was the tempo. Their tempo is fast, and you could tell it was wearing on the bodies a little bit as the game went on. But we have so much depth at the defensive line to where we were just throwing guys out there, and there was a lot of bodies.
Yeah, tempo works good. Like we said, tempo works good and bad in both ways. If you're not picking up first downs with tempo, you could be in trouble.
Yeah.
You got to get first downs to go fast to, get those guys off kilter. But
yeah, hey, on the VTech,
on to Virginia Tech, baby. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, like I said, we had some other big time games. There was some good games Saturday, other than obviously the big three. Yeah. Even the Friday night game, the Illinois-Nebraska game was a good game. Illinois looks like a better team. Nebraska, we talk about some of these coaches, not winning big games. I guess you could throw Matt Rule in there. Did you see his record versus top 25 teams?
Not good.
It's not good. It's not good. Like 2-20 or something like that. But again,
bad.
Raiola, you're still playing a freshman quarterback. Raiola, he looks good.
He made a lot of freshman mistakes in that game.
He did. But I think Illinois, Bielema, he's a good coach, so he's been around the block.
Wouldn't Florida State like Luke Altmaier right now?
When you said that, he wasn't there.
I thought he was at Florida State.
No, he was the Ole Miss guy.
Oh.
He was from Ole Miss. I don't know who you're confusing him with. I think it was like, I don't remember who I was. When you said that the other night, I was like, Altmaier, he didn't go to Florida State.
I thought he was there, but
no, he was an Ole Miss transfer.
Hey, they still would like.
They would like a lot of quarterbacks.
Than what they have. Hey, it was good to see Pat Bryant get some. Pat's been balling this year, man.
Mr. Atlantic Coast, like I say, we talked about him last week.
The touchdown to OT. That was just a great play design to put him in the backfield to get him a mismatch. Yep, totally. To get the mismatch. That's when there's that offensive coordinator has a good mind on him and schematically saying, if we put this guy here, we know we're probably going to get him on the linebacker if we flex him out of the backfield, or he runs like a little wheel or whatever. And it's just like so many coaches are just saying, I want my guys here. Stand here. We may put you in motion. But you got to, when you have guys like that, you just got to move them around and find creative ways to get them the ball. And I think that's what Illinois has been doing this year, is finding creative ways to get Pat the ball.
Yeah. No, like I say, they got a big one this week against Penn State. That'll be a good one Saturday.
That should be a good one.
Another primetime game. But the two other big ones, obviously the Big House, USC, Michigan, and then the other one, it was which we'll talk about. Like, I was totally not on board with USC, or I was all over USC. I was like,
same.
USC is going to win this game. We both were, and we felt that they made the change to Orgy. They weren't going to be able to.
I told you they threw for 32 yards. What would you have said?
Yeah, I would have been like, they got beat easily. But again, big credit to their defense. Their defense,
Will Johnson,
really good.
Six. That pick six. What was Miller Moss looking at?
I don't know, man.
He stared him down, still threw it. pick six quick. I was just like, come on.
And like I say, that for all that too, USC had the lead, looked like they had the game in the bag, and then
they gotta go. No, it was funny. So in the group, we're all talking about like, hey, this USC is better than last season. They're tackling and they look good. And then all of a sudden, the tackling went out the damn window that last drive. It's like, dude, just get them down. Don't give up a 60-yard run.
Here's what super pissed me off. I had two different tickets. One of the tickets I had the under in the game, which was it was 24-20 at that time with like 3 minutes to go in the game. And it was 24-20 and the over under was 44.5. So I was like, okay, I need no points. The other ticket I had USC minus 5.5. So I knew they weren't covering, because they would have had to score again. Yeah. They would have had to stop them and score again, which was not going to happen. And so then that would have blew my other ticket. But instead, we'll just let them go. Let Mullings rip off a damn 80-yard run, grind out the clock, score it late, and then just win.
All right, so even
you don't cover and you blow the total.
No, yeah, it's tough.
Come on, USC.
But you get down in the red zone. They're within the 5. You stop them on the first down. You stop them on second down. You stop them on third down. What the hell you think they were going to do on fourth down? They only have 32 yards the whole damn game passing.
Yeah.
What did you think they were going to do?
Yep.
And then you just let them run in. And they blew it. They blew it. And tip your cap to Michigan to find a way to bounce back after getting beat by Texas and winning a Big Ten game. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win many more, but they won.
Yeah. Yeah. What it showed me was Texas is pretty good.
That's 100%. Like, I agree with that 100%.
Texas is pretty damn. Texas is pretty good because they did whatever they wanted on that defense.
Yep.
To where USC that it looked hard. Like I'm not gonna they were on their ass. It wasn't like Texas. They went to the big house just like USC did, but USC's offense did not look like Texas' offense. No. Not like Miller Moss's Quinn Ewers, but things looked hard.
Yeah.
I mean, they still had Miller Moss still had a pretty good game. He threw for 283 yards, but I mean, attempted 51 passes,
Yeah, that's a problem. If you're attempting 50-something passes,
well, on top
you're
of
not running the football.
When you look at their running numbers, they rushed only for 96 because you count in all the Miller Moss sacks. But guess what? Woody Marks had a 65-yard run. So in a sense, you only rushed it for about 30 yards.
Yeah, that's a problem. They're not going to win in the Big Ten by not running the football, especially as the weather changes and it gets colder and you might throw some snow games in there. You can't depend on Miller Moss to be slinging it around.
Yeah. So again, and that basically goes back to like overreaction of week 1 versus LSU.
Yeah.
Because
you know what? I still think USC defensively has improved tremendously.
No, they totally have.
They just now, I guess, didn't tackle in the key moment of the game.
Yeah, see, I guess, and here's, then my overreaction was I think USC is the playoff team. Now, do I feel like they're a playoff team?
No,
I know.
Not in the Big Ten. Not in the Big Ten. No.
Yeah, because they definitely. I know they play Wisconsin this weekend, which they're better than Wisconsin, but looking at who they got coming up, we can look. We can look at their schedule because we're not a fan of those teams, right? So we can look ahead. Penn State in a couple weeks is going to be big.
That's a big game.
I guess the good part is they don't play Ohio State this year, So they basically play Whiskey this week at Minnesota. They can beat both of those teams, in my opinion. They're better than those teams.
Both of them too.
Yeah, but I would pick them to beat both of those teams
for sure.
Penn State at home, which is nice that you don't have to go to Happy Valley. Then you get at Maryland, Rutgers, at Washington, your old Pac-12, Nebraska, UCLA, Notre Dame. So their schedule is manageable if they're the team we think they are. It's not like
it's
got Penn State and Happy Valley, Ohio State, and the horseshoe. But this was definitely a game. This is a game that they had that they blew.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you got one Big Ten loss. You got one Big Ten loss. If you get another one, even if you make it to the Big Ten title game and you don't win, you have 3 losses. You're out.
Yep. Yeah, that's where the whole thing comes into. We're talking about is a 3-loss team going to get punished by losing that conference championship.
You just need some chaos to happen. But even like you say, even with a 12-team playoff and you take one out for the group of 5, you really got 11 spots. In the 4 conference champions, you take those out, so you only have 7 spots.
Mm-hmm.
So 6, really. Sorry, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. I think they have improved defensively. Offensively, they're still good. They still got some weapons.
Yeah, they got to be able to run the ball, like you said.
And like you say, you're not playing Ohio State and you're not playing Oregon. You would think that'd be favorable, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes for USC the rest of the year.
I think they're going to be fine, especially now looking at it. They got 2 games to get right before they play Penn State, and that's going to be the game. Like that, because that'll either give you your second loss in the Big Ten and set you back, or you get that win, and then you can now go on a little bit of a run.
But even if you lose to Notre Dame, a non-Big Ten, that still puts you at 2 losses, and they're not winning the Big Ten.
No. Well, what I'm saying is, essentially, that can maybe put you in the game.
For sure. No. I know what you're saying, but
I'm not saying they're going to beat Ohio State, but yeah, they can theoretically get to that game to put themselves in position. Like, put it this way. Again, this is the great thing about the college football playoff that a lot of people sometimes are not liking. The fact that, guess what? Your season's not over. You got your loss. You got your mulligan out of the way.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
If you can figure out a way to get hot.
Yeah. Like I say, they're better defensively. Miller Moss needs to just stay consistent offensively, figure out some run game, and, we'll see what happens. But the other big ones that were the Saturday night game, the Tennessee Vols versus the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners. Like you said, Oklahoma, I loved this game. Like, this was my dead stead lock of the week. I thought Tennessee was going to blow them out of the water. They pretty much controlled the game.
They controlled the game.
And I had no, like, if I could have bet the house, I would have bet the house, but I'm not going to bet the house. But this is the most confident game I was. Like, Tennessee's going to win this game by 7 points.
You see someone, an OU fan could be like, we lost by 10 and we had an opportunity to score. No, you didn't. That game was that game.
I don't know if you saw the clip. Heupel basically talking to Nico after the game. It was like, I just saw it this morning. He's like talking to him. He's like covering his mouth, trying to whatever. He's like, great game, dude. He's like, listen, man. He's like, I took my foot off the gas. I basically played conservative, put it on the defense because the defense was doing whatever they wanted. And once they were up, they were up. There was a couple times in that game where
I could see
Tennessee, and basically Heupel was just like, you know what? He's like, I did get conservative. We were
nothing wrong with that.
We did what we needed to do. I felt like we were in control. I mean, there was a couple times where I think that Tennessee could have blown it open if they could have gotten the end zone instead of settling for field goals. But they were all over Oklahoma. Oklahoma had nothing going on offense.
I think you got
Jackson Arnold. I got to retract my statements on Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, you were all about Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold this, Jackson Arnold that. I'm like, okay, he hasn't done anything in college football yet.
Yeah, it was more so.
I don't give a damn how great he looked in 7-on-7 in high school.
Yeah. He, like I say, they put the new kid in, and it looks like his job is taken. So, like even Kirk was saying in the broadcast, it gives them a different element on offense.
Yeah,
the way they look.
Back to Tennessee, your conference opener on the road. You don't want to get in there and get all crazy and wild and give them opportunities to.
Yeah, we knew there was a lot on the line with the whole Heupel thing going back to Oklahoma. All that stuff.
Exactly. But that first, did you end up seeing the first touchdown he threw?
Yeah, he threw a fucking laser.
Dude, that was a dime. That was a dime.
It was.
Yeah, but you want to just get that first win on the road
with beauty.
Like Nick says, toughest thing to do is get that conference opener on the road at night. You just want to get the dub and get out. I mean, look at Mizzou. Yeah. Mizzou found another way to get out of there. Vandy, the game we all thought was going to be a blowout. Vandy, the kicker blew it in overtime.
Vandy should have won that game, man.
Yep, Vandy should have won that game.
I feel bad for they should have won that game. That would have been 2 nice wins, Virginia Tech and Missouri on there. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, Vandy should have won that game. I guess the other games. What game did you like that stood out? I guess Utah took care of business against Oak State. That was a tight game.
I don't know what's going on with Ollie Gordon. I don't know if they're loading up the box on him or what, but he's been pretty much shut down this year. The Utah running back had 182 yards. I was in and out of that game a little bit, not a ton.
Yeah, Yeah, like I say, we both said Utah was our team to win the Big 12, and now it looks like they are. Oklahoma State's got a big game this week against K-State, who was my other surprise team, who actually got obliterated by BYU on the road. Dude, BYU look good.
Yeah, yeah. But back to Utah. If you can keep winning without Cam Rising, like at some point they're going to need Cam Rising to win the bigger games. But in that conference, I mean, if you beat Oklahoma State, who's their next tough game they got coming up? K-State, maybe. They really don't have too many tough games.
Yeah, they're playing Arizona State, TCU, Houston. That's their next 5 games.
They don't play
K-5. They don't play K-State. Then they play the team who we just talked about, who looks good, BYU. But they get them in Provo, or they get them in Rice Eccles,
the Holy
Utah.
War.
Yeah, so that's that old rivalry game. But they get them at home, and then they go to the hottest team in America that everybody loves, the Colorado Buffaloes, and then they close out with Iowa State, which could be a big game. And then they go to Orlando and UCF into the finale of the year. So they, like I say, that Utah definitely they're not playing K-State. The next couple games are at home and they're against some of the lower competition.
Yeah, but you still can lose one of those games if Cam's not playing, though.
For sure. You can't take any of those lightly.
You're not expecting Zach Wilson's little brother to be lighting it up week in and week out.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, Utah is in the prime position now that K-State took that loss. And then now one of these two teams that this week are going to have 2 losses, Oklahoma State or K-State. Somebody's losing. Somebody's losing Saturday. Somebody's going to have 2.
Exactly. So, how about that basketball game in Chapel Hill? I didn't even know basketball season had started yet.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, that might be your group of 12 team now. James Madison looked pretty damn good.
70. Did you see Matt Brown went to the board and was like, "Hey, I'll resign right now if you want me to."
Yeah. I don't know why he would say that, but yeah.
70, bro. 70?
Yeah.
And you put up 50?
Yeah.
Wasn't even close. Yeah, that happened. NC State. Whew.
Yeah, Clemson
they started the freshman.
Yeah. Well, you knew Grayson McCall, but Grayson McCall hadn't looked good either. But once you knew they had the freshman going against that Clemson D, that it was probably going to be a long day. But I will say too, if you're going away from week 1 to now, Clemson's figured out some stuff on offense. Klubnik and those guys look way better offensively.
Scored some points. I think they're close to 300 since the Georgia
Appalachian
game?
State. Appalachian State, obviously, they got shellacked too by South Alabama. That was a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
So App State's kind of a little bit overinflated, overrated. But again, Clemson's scoring 60 a game now since they couldn't score but 3 against Georgia. I bet Clemson would be like, "Can we get a redo of that game? Like, we finally figured out some stuff offensively." But yeah,
I'll still take Georgia double digits.
I would totally too. But yeah, now Clemson, they get Stanford, who's kind of been the surprise team in the new ACC era.
It's still weird. Still weird.
It is. It totally is. Stanford got they upset the our Kyle McCord Cuse caboose, man.
Yeah.
But they get Clemson gets Stanford before they go to Tallahassee next week. So yeah, Florida State. You get SMU and we talked about this. This was supposed to be the trap week for Florida State. They were like, they're gonna be 4-0, going to Dallas, number whatever in the country. Instead, you finally got your first win against Cal. Now you're going to Dallas, and then you get Clemson following week. Everything could be all bad still in Tallahassee. But any other takeaways from last week before we jump into this week?
Arch Manning getting that start looked pretty good. Threw some great deep balls to Bond, and I forgot who the other receiver was. And then the Baylor Colorado game. Don't name victory formation. I mean, on the prevent victory cigar and then lose.
Yeah, it was what's crazy was I had gotten home just in time to watch the last couple minutes of that game, and I had it on, and
I still don't know how Baylor lost that game.
to watch the previous play before that, the guy just, I mean, Shedeur hit him right in the 1 and the 4.
Will
and he just,
Will Shepherd from Vandy.
You know, he catches that, he falls in the end zone, game over. You're like, holy crap, they just lost this game when they just designed the perfect Hail Mary. And then for them to come back and hit it again was just stupid. Yeah. And then on top of that, then, you know, you go to overtime, you go right down the field first, you know, but then Colorado or Baylor had a nice little drive and had a big run, and the guy ETN'd it, fumbled it in the end zone, man.
No, Travis made a hell of a play. He put the hat on the ball.
It's kind of like Javon Holland punching out against ETN.
But Travis had 2 big plays, drawing the penalty, the PI on the last drive of the game. Even though it looked like he caught it, I don't think he caught it, but he got the PI, and then making the game-winning tackle for the most part. You know, to pop that ball out at the end was he's definitely in the Heisman race, and he's definitely looking the part. But you know, I still think he's playing too many snaps. But that's just me as an outsider looking in. Clearly, Prime thinks he could do it. But yeah, that was a big win for Colorado, just to be able to possibly become bowl eligible.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like I say, I still think Baylor's one of the not so hot teams, in my opinion, this year in the Big 12, and Colorado still got some games against some teams that I think are some of the better upper echelon teams. Yeah.
But any win you could get like that gets you closer to 6.
This one will be interesting this week. Like, who you got? Would you take them over UCF, or you got the Knights?
I got the Knights.
Yeah,
I think the Knights are just going to run the ball and beat them up. And I mean, you got to think you got better caliber players on the defensive side for UCF. And I think if Colorado wants to make it a track meet, I think UCF can make it a track meet if they really wanted to. Yeah. But I'll take UCF. I don't know about those 14. I think just Colorado's they're good enough to score points. How Shedeur Sanders has not been in concussion protocol in his college career is still beyond me, because he's still getting beat up.
Yeah.
Who you got
for
now?
Sure. I got UCF just because I think they can control it with the ground game, and I don't know if they'll cover the number, but I'm leaning towards the go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Colorado won the game, just because they do have that functionality. They can score a lot of points. So
yeah,
if somehow, some way their defense comes to play and it's a shootout game, they could win a game just like they won against Baylor.
I don't see them.
I don't see it. I don't see it happening. That, like I say, that defense is bad. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into. We can talk about your boys now against the team they're playing. No blinders, Virginia Tech, Friday night, Canes at Hard Rock. 3 touchdown favorites. I think they cover again and take care of business. No problem whatsoever. Virginia Tech was one of those. Virginia Tech was one of those faux ACC maybe teams, and they've totally faded. Obviously, when they lost the week 1 against Vandy, and then they had another loss. So, like I say, you guys are just playing at another level right now, and I just think you continue to play at that level, and no problem.
Yeah, Miami's going to win. But they just got to come out and stay focused and just don't do the stupid things, get the penalties, stay efficient on offense. They've been pretty efficient. I think they lead the nation on third down conversions. So as long as we keep doing that, I think we could win that game. It's just now we're in the conference play. Preseason's done. You got to get in the conference play and make plays and continue to score touchdowns, continue to be efficient on offense with protecting Cam Ward and letting him and those receivers cook. And the defensive line. The defensive line is going to have to continue carrying the defense, even though I think the back end has been more surprising this season with Damari Brown, Mish Powell, and those guys on the back end, OJ Frederick, the freshman, and then the linebackers. You know, and it's been good to be able to get a lot of the younger guys in and getting them reps, because we're going to need a lot of those younger guys going into ACC play, because someone's going to go down at some point. That's just football. But yeah, I see Miami winning. I can see us winning by like 14.
Yeah, no, you don't think you're going to cover the number?
That's a big number, but I'll say 14.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I got to tell Haiti lady. She's about to go get Cruz. I forgot my power cord when I was moving and shaking. So I'm like, I can't have the power go out on this thing. No, but like, I think the Canes. No, we're good. Okay. We're good people. We're good people. We're gonna have Haiti come and save the day here in a second. No, I think the Canes take care of business. Like I say, just that was one of the smart pick 6-pack of El Perez said that Rutgers was going to win money line.
It was,
and they Rutgers took down Virginia Tech. So like I say, I think Virginia Tech's been a little underwhelming for what we thought they could be, and they basically just don't look as good. And like I say, I think you guys are ultimately playing on another level right now. You guys are balling, you know.
Yeah, I'm happy it's at Hard Rock and not at Lane Stadium.
That's on a Friday night. That definitely would be a little bit of a factor.
Yeah,
but like I say, I think you guys take care of business. Like I said, now since we think you're going to take care of business, we'll jump on to the Dallas game, the Florida State Seminoles underdogs on the road in Dallas. That line is flexed up like 2 points in the last 24, 48 hours. But what say you for the Noles this weekend, buddy?
Their defensive line has to come to play. I know that's been the topic of Florida State all year so far, is the defensive line not showing up. If that defensive line does not get pressure on Jennings at quarterback, it's going to get ugly, because I just don't see the Florida State, the offense, really doing much. And like we both said, if you're only scoring 14 points, it ain't gonna happen. It's definitely gonna have to come down to both lines of scrimmage for Florida State to possibly be in this game and to create some turnovers. They're gonna have to create some turnovers because we know SMU does like to put the ball in the air. But yeah, we got some Florida speed playing for SMU. But if that front line can't get pressure on Jennings, I think the line's kind of low, to be honest with you. If you want my opinion.
I agree. Florida State is getting so much credit with some of these point spreads the whole season. Like I say, call us haters if you want to, but Florida State has not done anything.
But I was about to say, how can you be called a hater when the team haven't done anything this year?
That's what I'm saying. Like you
got a W against Cal.
The real Florida State fans, I would hope the real Florida State fans realize, like, hey, I'm glad we got to win and not 0-4, because 1-3 is better. But like, you got to know that your team is not playing good football. It's not playing winning football.
No,
against, so go beat SMU and show me that you can, because again,
and then we'll have a conversation about it next week. But until then,
guess what? Back. Let's go back and look at Florida State's offensive outputs in their 4 games that they played. They scored 21 against Georgia Tech. They scored 13 against BC, and they scored 12 and 14. So basically, you're averaging right around 14 to 17 points. So if you do that, SMU is going to score more than 17, buddy. I'm just telling you that right now. Yeah. So you do the law of averages. SMU should score. Now, granted, Florida State's defense allegedly is their calling card, but again, what was everybody else doing on them in the first 3 games? Running right at them. You couldn't get pressure on the quarterbacks. So I just feel like SMU right now has kind of figured some stuff out from their kind of early season.
Yeah,
like
if it was SMU 2 weeks ago, you would have had to say Florida State probably had a great, when they were trying to figure out between Preston Stone and Jennings at quarterback, where they both were looking kind of shaky. And like I said, I think Jennings is just taking that position over, and it's pretty much his until he blows it.
Yep. So Haiti did leave me. She left to go get Cruz. My battery saver is on, so if I just got dim, man, I'm gonna have to go run upstairs and take a timeout.
Come on, let's go.
No, it's gonna die for sure. No, we can't.
All right.
So we got to take a timeout and look at.
Go right ahead. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, you keep talking. We'll zoom in just on you, Faro.
No, you don't have to do that. You can leave it like that. You can leave it 2 screen.
Hurry
up, man. Go get your battery.
Right. Let's see. You want to talk about Florida State? You want to talk about something else?
No, I'll just go ahead and go. Just go get your battery. This guy. Yeah, this guy is happy that his Gators have won, as you can tell. Looks like his Phillies are about to, not his Phillies, sorry, the Braves. The Braves are going to blow it. Haven't watched too much baseball this year, even though my Yankees are in. Rick, your Mets are probably going to knock the Braves out, so that's a good thing. But yeah, Florida State, I just think Florida State's not going to do much on offense this week. DJ is looking bad. At some point, Mike just needs to go to the youth movement, put Crum and Hawk in, put Brock Glenn in. Toa Philly should be the starter. I think Roydell got hurt this week, so yeah, I'm sitting here talking to myself, but it's okay. This guy's going to take forever. Bama, Georgia is going to be a good weekend. I suggest everyone should watch Bama, Georgia at Saturday night. I'm leaning towards Georgia to win this one at the moment. Who else? Oklahoma, K-State. I lost my parlay last night, man. That was tough. I need Jaden Daniels to rush the ball 50 yards just to win my parlay, and I was 5 out of 6.
Double-story house kill you.
Yeah.
What happened now?
I just recapped your Braves losing to the Mets for the wild card.
Damn. Why are you going
the Yankees are in the playoffs. Talked a little bit more about Florida State's bad offense, and I started to talk about Bama, Georgia.
Yeah, the Braves, man. They got a sweep.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. Like I say, the way they've been playing down the stretch, switching gears here to baseball, is they've been in 10-game sequences. They've been going about 6-4, 7-3. So that means you're not sweeping. You might be winning series, but
they're 2 games back right now as of today.
2 games back. Here's what sucks: every time the Phillies lost last week, or every time the Mets lost, the Braves lost that day. So they never gained any ground on them at all. So,
boy, hey, your phone going to be blowing up as soon as it's official.
I know. Well, like I say,
I'm here for it.
Ricky's definitely staying real low key on it. So,
hey, I mean, he has to. The only thing he has right now is his
At least Danny Dimes won a game. At least Danny Dimes won a game. But yeah, no.
How I don't know.
Yeah, you literally have to sweep, or if you do take 2 out of 3, then you're tied. But then it comes down to that last series, and we're both playing teams. Well, the Braves are going to be playing Kansas City, who I think still fighting for their wild card spot, so they're going to still be in it. To whereas Milwaukee, they've already clinched, so they might be playing, whatever. So, like I say, the Braves have to take at least 2 out of 3 to at least even it up, and then those next 3 games.
But yeah, but then you still have to hope. You still got to hope that the Mets lose.
That's what I'm saying. Well, then you'll be tied, and you'll have 3 games against. You'll have to sweep or hope that you win one when they win one, and then I don't even know what the tiebreaker is if they both finish. Like, let's just say the Braves win 2 out of 3, and then they both sweep next week, or they both win 2 out of 3 against.
I have no idea what the tiebreaker is.
Yeah, because it might be a 1-game playoff or something.
Yeah. Update on the survivor pool, by the way.
Are you still in?
Hell no.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I lost with Vegas. There's only 8 people left.
How many people started that?
172 or 192.
So I need to go look at the one. I'm in that little fun league with like ESPN Radio, Amy Lawrence's that she does, and I think there was like 356 people in that one. And I made it till last week, but I also picked against Carolina, and there was only like I think like 17 people.
Yeah, I think she was talking about it this morning. I heard her talk about it. I forgot. It's a lot of people lost with who to watch.
A lot of people had Cincinnati too.
Cincinnati, yeah. That's what she was saying. A lot of people had Cincinnati. Yeah, I think
because you had a lot of the 0-2 teams won.
Yeah. I think like 6 people had Cincinnati, so it dropped it. Yeah. It dropped it down to we're in single digit. Well, not we. Cooey's still in it. He had Buffalo beating the Jags. Nice. So they're down in the single digits. So, and it's just week 4? Yeah. Week 4, and out of almost 200 people.
Going into week 4. Yeah. We just finished week 3. Yeah, no,
crazy NFL year. But yeah,
getting back to the Noles and SMU, I think Florida State, like I say, they put together enough to get a win against Cal. Great. Mm-hmm. I don't see the fix that needs to be fixed to where I can say, yeah, you're going to go beat SMU and Clemson and whoever else. So hopefully, you learn something from that game. But again, you're going up a level in competition offensively, to whereas you look at what Cal did. Cal moved up and down the field. So SMU's offense is definitely better than Cal's. So you better bend but don't break and hold them to field goals and just, make some plays on offense to keep it a game at least.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying Florida State's going to get blown out here. I just don't see enough to where I just don't think they got enough offensively to score. Like I say, they look at what they've averaged in the first 4 games.
Well, but that's why I say, like, defensively, that D line has to come out and play. They have to create havoc, stop them from scoring, create turnovers. But still, we've both been saying, you still have to score more than 14 points to beat SMU. I still think in a bad game, SMU still could score 17-21.
Yeah, see, and here's where, like, in all sense purposes, this game could get away from you. You can get slapped, blown out too. Because SMU can score. So if you ain't scoring offensively yourself, matching them a little bit, you could catch yourself in a 35-14 ball game or something and be like, damn, we just got run. So
yeah, I agree.
Like I say, it's a challenge. We circled this one anyways before the season started as like this could be a potential trap spot. So nothing changes from that at all. This is going to be a difficult game that you got to go on the road and win. So like I say, we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's a couple of big games this week, and obviously the one we'll circle. The first one is the primetime Georgia Bama, baby.
Man, this should be a fun game. Too bad Nick wasn't there or isn't, still coaching to be able to take Bama to play against Kirby, but I still think it's going to be a good game. Right now, I think Georgia's going to win. I just Carson's going to have to figure out the offense and getting those guys into a rhythm. You can tell they're not in a rhythm. Now, on the flip side, if it looks like last week against Kentucky, 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, where they're not getting in the rhythm, Bama is good enough to win the game, and Jalen Milroe could get, he doesn't have to say, I'm going to find Ryan Williams or those other guys and pass the ball. He could just run the ball, and it could just become him and Jam Miller just doing some read option and picking up big plays. And who's missing? Not Smile Munden. Who's the linebacker that's been out since week 1 for Georgia?
I can't even think of the guy's name. I know exactly.
I can't think of his name, but yeah, they're hoping that he plays this week. He's going to be a big addition just because you got to get pressure on Jalen Milroe for the most part. So right now I'm leaning Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win. I can see them winning by 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's weird. This is the first time Bama's like a home dog too, in forever. But I'm leaning. I feel like Georgia too, but it's in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, the key thing is Milroe. We know what he can do on the ground with his legs. He's an explosive runner. Keeps plays alive and can get out of there when he runs it, which is a big component to their game. He still, in the first couple of weeks of the season was, coming into that offense, like throwing the ball down the field, not looking as comfortable and confident yet.
Yeah.
That's coming along. It kind of was like last year too. Same thing. Yeah. It's kind of just, it's a totally new system. So, you're learning. So you expect that. So
he exploded week 5 or 6 of last year.
Yeah. So you're wondering when that's going to happen, but obviously it's a tough task against Kirby and a Georgia defense. So like I say, I'm leaning Georgia as well, but I still think Bama is definitely capable and definitely you want to see the matchup because you want to see DeBoer and what his new regime, what the system is, how good is the Bama defense? Can they give Carson problems? Because we've obviously seen Kentucky, do some work against Georgia and make them look uncomfortable, make them look, average offensively where Carson wasn't comfortable, doesn't have that first Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey read, the run game still, kind of coming into flow, so I want to see what Bama's D looks like versus, a top ranked offense and Carson Beck at quarterback. So we know what, like, it's just going to come down to, like, again, coach speak of like, who doesn't make the dumb mistakes, who doesn't turn the ball over. If Milroe comes out and throws 3 interceptions, they're not going to win the game. If Carson comes out and turns the ball over, they're going to have a hard night. So, you would maybe lean towards Bama because being at home, but I'm going to give Georgia the nod just because I think they got more with Beck at quarterback than maybe Milroe throwing it. So, the line is like the line is a pick 'em, so you would think
and it's game. Crazy as bad as Carson's. Not say he looked bad. they still have a lot of weapons on offense. They just haven't got into a flow yet. They just haven't got it was like we said the other week. It looks like last year, the beginning of the season for Carson, like trying to figure out the offense. But then when you have a Brock Bowers and a Lab McConkey, it makes it real easy. Like the Auburn game, it was just like the last couple of drives. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just throw it to Brock Bowers every play. I'm just going to throw it to that guy. He's going to make a play because he's just that great. But he hasn't found that guy yet. And you know, I think he's gonna find that guy. I think a Dominic Lovett or Bell, Dylan Bell, you know, one of those guys have to step up and just say, hey, I'm the guy. Just throw it to me, along with that run game.
Yeah, like I said, you go back to that week 1 game against Clemson, the offense kind of came out. You know, it was a little slow early. You know, Clemson's D kind of came. You know, their D line obviously gave them some problems, but then they figured some stuff out and got it rolling there in the second half, and you know, put a number on Clemson. And then obviously can't take nothing from Tennessee Tech. And then the next game we saw him play was the struggle against Kentucky. So
yeah,
you know, it'll be interesting too because it was such an early bye for both teams. You know, in a sense, so they haven't played. So you only have 3 sample sizes. You know, and obviously, like we said, you take away both Alabama and Georgia had throwaway games. You know, and they're against Tennessee Tech and whoever Bama played. I forget who they played early that was not good. But, you know, Vandergrift, obviously, I knew they played South Florida. They played somebody, Middle Tennessee, I think was what they had week 1. Yeah. But, you know, Vandergrift, he didn't look great. They couldn't really get nothing going. I mean, they were able to get some, I guess the surprising thing, and this is where I guess would be a little concerning for Georgia, is obviously we know Bama wants to probably be run heavy because that's what they're the best at. Was the fact that Kentucky put up 170 on the ground.
Yeah, you know, so Vandergrift was able to run the ball a little bit with a little bit of read option and help pulling it down for a couple runs and just picking up some big plays. And we know, like you say, we know Jalen could do that. If it's not there, he could just get out and scamper and easily by the end of the game, if he has 80, 90 yards rushing by the end of the game, that doesn't spell well for UGA.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I saw on the flip side of that, Georgia only rushed for 100 on Kentucky. So if that Bama D line and the Bama backers are as good as advertised and they can play D, you know, can they shut the run game down in a sense to make Carson have to make throws downfield? That'll be, I mean, obviously that's where the game's going to be won. You make Carson uncomfortable. Same thing goes for, you know, Georgia's got to shut that run game down to make it to where, you know, make Milroe have to complete balls downfield. And that's where you say, kind of like going back to that Texas game last year, you know, Texas Bama was like, you know what? We're going to have to see Milroe throw the ball down the field. And guess what? At the end of the night, if Milroe completes balls downfield, we'll tip our cap and say, good job. What did Milroe do? He threw a couple incomplete balls. They threw that interception late. Texas took over, game over, drive home safely, you know. And then as the season went on, then kind of Milroe kind of found his legs throwing the ball downfield. But it'll be interesting to see if that new offense has finally, you know, clicked to where he's going to hit some downfield plays, because we know he can throw those dime balls, deep balls, you know. So it like test the secondary of Georgia. But if Bama can run the ball, then I think Bama's going to win.
Yeah, I know one thing: they better find number 2.
Yeah,
UGA's defense better find number 2.
That's what I'm saying, and that's the good part about it is you could take that deep shot with Ryan Williams and say, hey, we're just going to chunk this and see what happens. You know, let's just do it. Like I say, I'm definitely obviously rooting for Bama, but if I'm just if right now, you know what? Screw it. I'm rolling Bama, baby. Bama's going to win.
I was just waiting.
I couldn't contain it. No. Like, how the hell am I going to pick Georgia? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No way.
Oh, I know.
Roll damn Tide. Roll damn Tide. Too bad you got to work Saturday and you can't watch it at the house.
Yeah, it's all good.
Boo. Joe's back in town. Joe might come through. Nice. He was like, it's like, let me come over early. We can get our bets in line.
Hilarious.
All right. Well, who else? What other games you like? Obviously, I think the big one after that is who you got? Louisville, Notre Dame?
Yeah, you would say Louisville, Notre Dame. 2 teams I just don't know. I really weird, don't know. Like, Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois, and then next week hang 77 on Purdue.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Purdue's probably not good, but yeah, he scored almost 80.
But I don't think they could throw the football. I don't think Notre Dame could throw the football.
Yeah.
Their passing game is not that good. So if Louisville could stop the run game, I think Louisville could win. I mean, I haven't really watched too many Louisville games this week, this year to really know.
That's the thing about Louisville. I couldn't get a read on them either because they had, they played Austin Peay and Jacksonville State before they played last week against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was obviously the surprise team week 1, but now you look at it as like, okay, they beat a bad Florida State team week 1, and then they got owned by Kyle McCord. So now Georgia Tech is kind of like back to reality, 3-2 team.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy is they played 5 games where like Louisville's only played to 3. So
right.
I don't know. They didn't look that impressive even against Georgia Tech because it was a kind of a 4-quarter ball game. They ended up.
That's what I'm saying. You just don't know enough about either team. You really don't know. Even though Notre Dame, that game against Texas A&M, like you said, they didn't throw the football. They really didn't.
No.
Even against Purdue, they really didn't throw the football. This past week, they didn't.
Notre Dame's a 6-point favorite too. They're a touchdown favorite too. Like I don't feel that confident in it either.
No.
Yeah, I don't. This is a game. Definitely stay away. Stay away.
If you had to bet, because there's some degenerates out there, I would take Louisville right now and the points, but I would just stay away from this game. Period.
Yeah, like I say, Riley Leonard just hasn't looked the part. Hasn't looked himself. Yeah, last week he threw it for 154 yards against Miami of Ohio. That's one of those games where you're like, let's get right and let's throw it. But I don't know. This will be an interesting game though, because obviously Notre Dame's already got a loss, so they can't afford another one if they want any shot of going to the playoff. And then definitely it'll ding Louisville and give them their first loss. So this will be a good check game for me looking down the line because I think Louisville is y'all's biggest test left on the schedule. So not looking ahead.
We play Virginia Tech this week, Friday night at 7:30 on ESPN. If everybody wants to check out Cam Ward and the boys. I have no idea about the other team you speak of and what week they play, but Miami plays Virginia Tech Friday night.
Just so you guys know, Miami does play Louisville later on in the season, guys. So we'll get to see.
Hard Rock's
what other games you got circled for this week that you're looking forward to looking at?
I got like 5 or 6.
That's what I'm saying. Let's see if
Oklahoma State, K-State.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was quick. You got that up there quick.
Hey.
Not sure what to think of K-State after last week. The Pokes, the same way. I think the Pokes won't win the Big 12 if they can't get Ollie Gordon going. I don't care that Bowman's been there 29 years and they're throwing the football. If they don't get Ollie Gordon going, they're not going to win the Big 12.
Yeah. No, it's weird. I can't put my finger on them either. I can't put my finger on like why K-State, looked so good the week before on that Friday night game against Arizona and just like put up numbers.
Maybe Arizona's just that bad. Arizona has not looked good this season.
That's what I'm saying. Arizona they're just the 2-man show. That's it. BYU, maybe BYU's good. That's the other thing too. BYU looked really good, but Avery Johnson looked terrible. Too many turnovers. So can he bounce back? I think maybe being at home, maybe a little bit of a get back game just to say, we played really bad. Let's show that we're not that bad.
Right.
I would lean K-State just because I like Avery Johnson in the quarterback play. And then the fact that, Ollie Gordon just hasn't gotten going at all for Oklahoma State. And for all intents and purposes, they should have lost that Arkansas game. So they should have 2 losses.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It should be a good one because both teams are kind of like, they're kind of the same, and they're kind of trying to figure out.
Yeah, but where is
this season about to go for both of us?
They both need this win this week. Coming up, both come off losses. They both need this win in the Big 12. They need a Big 12 win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that game too. What else you got? Who else you got?
We talked about Colorado UCF already. I think that's going to be that should be a pretty decent game to watch. We already talked about it. I think UCF is going to win. I just don't think they're going to win big. Next on the list, hey, Pat Bryant and the boys. going into Happy Valley. Let's see what Brett Bielema in Illinois got. They usually start off pretty fast, and then they hit that wall, and then it's over. Do they hit the wall this week?
Yeah. And like I say, what's weird is you look at Penn State and hell, the team that they struggled with, Bowling Green, who gave Texas A&M all they wanted last week. So maybe Bowling Green is actually one of those MAC teams that's actually pretty good. That was obviously Penn State. They were a little bit sleepwalking, didn't play great. You would think that Penn State should win this game just because they got better players. But like I say, Illinois they got to have confidence in what they're doing. They got to be feeling good. The thing about it is, going on the road, that's where things get tricky. It's a night game in Happy Valley.
Wide out.
So, exactly. So it's like all those things, you're just like, That's where I got to lean towards. Now, what's crazy is the damn line.
Yeah. I saw that 18 the last I looked at it.
Yeah, 17 and a half. That's where I might take the points just because I think Illinois maybe can make it a ball game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
I like Penn State to win the game. But I think Illinois can make it interesting. Just maybe. I mean, the other thing too is you came off a big win, so this could be a letdown a little bit. Going on the road could be a difficult thing. So that could be what Vegas sees, and they could be like, "Yeah, Penn State puts a number on them." That could happen too, but who knows?
Yeah. Archie at Texas A&M. I don't know what the hell is going on in Arkansas and Sam Pittman. At least Bobby Petrino has the offense moving. They just make too many mistakes, man. Too many mistakes. They're going to play a tough A&M defense. Now, is Marcel Reed still starting? I think they should just ride it out with him the rest of the year because he's looked good. Not saying Wegman is bad. I haven't really been impressed with Wegman, even though pro scouts love the prototypical body, arm, all of that. He just, even when he's healthy last season, it was like,
Yeah.
No, I think Reed just brings a different dimension.
I agree. Like I say, it's just one of those things of Connor Wegman is who he is, So Reed definitely as soon as I'm telling you that first scramble he had against Florida 2 weeks ago, where I'm like, it's 3rd and 28 or 2nd and 28, and he ripped off 41 yards. I'm like, great. So he definitely brings that element, and he's smooth, man. He's smooth. He's nice. I like him a lot. So I think he brings a whole nother element to the offense. Arkansas, like you said, they've been kind of just Jekyll and Hyde a little bit. I'd roll A&M just because I think they're a little more dynamic offensively, and then they've definitely been playing good D. Now, obviously, again, they were in a banger with Bowling Green, but they somehow found a way to win. Bowling Green, like I say, give them credit. They played them tough.
In today's football, that's all what it is. You just the days I think of just like rolling through teams and winning big all the time, unless your Bamas and Georgias and teams like Ohio States. But still, even those teams kind of struggle. Look at Georgia 2 weeks ago against Kentucky. There was no way in hell that we thought Kentucky would give Georgia a fight.
Well,
and the fight would have been they still won by 3 touchdowns.
It was a slow game to start with Ohio State against Marshall. It's just granted they ran away with it, but like that's another team who we haven't really talked about at all because their schedule's been so damn sorry.
Yeah, they just haven't played anybody.
And they're playing Michigan State this week, who's not very good. So they literally played Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State, and then they play the offensive-led Iowa Hawkeyes the following week. But we're going to find out a lot in a couple weeks when they go to Eugene. So that's our favorite weekend. We got circled the October 12th weekend.
October 12th,
yeah. That's when we're going to find out a lot. And then they got a nice little combo. They got at Oregon, playing Nebraska, and then at Penn State. So Ohio State, that little 3-game stretch, you can't look ahead. Yeah, you go on the road to Eugene. You can't look ahead to Penn State because you got to play Nebraska. So that'll be a nice little.
Like you said, it hasn't been worth talking about because they haven't played anybody yet.
Yeah, well, that was funny. They brought it up a couple weeks ago. The look ahead line before last week's Michigan win against USC. Do you know what the Ohio State Michigan line was, or what would you get? What would you guess it would be?
Probably Ohio State by like 15 to 17.
It was 19 and a half.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, if they play today, I could see them winning by 19 because I just think Michigan, they're just so inept throwing the football.
Yeah.
Like, no one's saying you got to throw it 300 yards, but 32?
Yeah.
30. I expect Army, Navy, Air Force, old Georgia Tech, old Georgia Southern to throw the ball 32 times, 32 passing yards.
Yeah, it's archaic, man. But like they did it against Penn State last year. But again, and they
I
have JJ
promise you, they
McCarthy.
probably had more than 32 passing yards against Penn State last year.
No, they definitely did. But that's the crazy part about it is they're more Leslie to pass with the
For
quarterbacks they got
sure.
now than JJ. So like,
No, for sure. But
let's line up and let's load this box. You know,
Yeah.
what are you doing, USC? So like it'll be interesting as the season goes on for Michigan.
Yeah.
Like what do teams do?
Yeah.
Like with their inability to throw the football for sure. I don't even know who Michigan's got next. Are they off this week or they got a game?
I believe they're off this.
I feel like they got a bye.
No. I think they have a game. They're not playing anybody good.
They're playing Minnesota. That's a new kickoff.
I would not watch that game.
You're not going to tune in for that one? Yeah.
Because I don't. Never mind. Let me not say that. So Zona in Utah. I think Utah's going to win. I don't know what the hell's going on in Zona. I just think, like you say, they're a 2-man show and that's it.
Yeah. I got Utah. Even though Cam's been kind of banged up and might not play still, I like what you saw from little Zachy Wilson's brother. They ran the ball well against Oklahoma State. So, like I say, Arizona, they're more than capable offensively if those two guys link up for 400 yards passing like they have done before. But, you know, Arizona just the new changeover with Fish leaving just hadn't looked good. Just can't put your finger on why, you know, maybe they lost some other guys in the portal. Maybe they lost guys in the draft, whatever. Seniors left, portaled out, whatever. But yeah, I like Utah still because Utah's been our pick for the Big 12. They were like my shoe in to basically be like, they're in the playoff. So, you know, get Cam Rising back and just, you know, continue on because I think you're the leader in the clubhouse.
The last one, the only reason I'm talking about this because what the hell is going on in the Plains? OU versus Auburn. OU starting a new quarterback, the freshman going to Auburn. There's so much going on in Auburn right now that you saw Bo Wallace's comments, and then you had Peyton Thorne making comments about the other quarterback telling him to stay out of his phone, and you got the thing you sent me today with
what are you talking about, man? If Arkansas and Auburn played 10 more times, that you said we'd beat them 9 times.
I just never thought I'd see a coach come out and say that. Like
when I first read the transcript, when I read the transcript, apparently, like, you know, it's one of those things of Hugh Freeze went on his thing and said this, and I'm like, did he really say that? Is what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, you know, I just read what he allegedly said, and then finally the audio clip surfaced of like, I love Sam Pittman. He's a hell of a coach. I hope Arkansas and him win the rest of their games because they deserve it. But you know, the honest truth is, if we played them 10 times, we'd win the next 9. And it's just like, damn.
Yeah.
Really, buddy?
You know, most coaches would just say, you know what? We played that game. We're on to OU, obviously, this week. And, you know, that's in the past. We can't win or lose. We can't worry about it. There's a lot of correctable things we learned from that game that we got to fix going into the OU game. But to say that, if I'm saying Pittman, I'm just like, whoa, what?
Yeah. No,
what's wrong with this guy?
Part of the thing with Hugh Freeze too, you know, obviously he had his whole meltdown situation with Ole Miss,
indiscretions.
You know,
indiscretions,
and then he ended up at Liberty, kind of, you know, resurrected, you know, his path. You know, he was one of those coaches that when you go back and look at it, he was a little bit of a cocky guy at Ole Miss. You know, beat Bama, you know, when they had that damn recruiting class where they had all those top guys that they
a lot of bags were being dropped
when they bought that team before the
NIL before NIL.
That I think part of that too is like you look at it as like, okay, this goes back to the Jimmy's and Joe's situation where your X's and O's are pretty good, but you bought and got the best players, which is I'm not hating on, but now it's starting to show like if you ain't got the best players, buddy, your X's and O's ain't really dialing nothing up. So,
no. But then to just have all these comments and then have former players and then former players coming out and saying stuff is like, do you want that? If you're Auburn, like, you're in year 2. Do we want all of this around our program right now?
Yeah, Auburn, they don't play around with, when stuff's bad. Like, hell, they fired Malzahn, and Malzahn was a pretty good damn coach.
Hell, they fired Chizik.
Yeah.
What, a year or 2 after winning a national championship?
Yeah. Like I say, Auburn doesn't mess around when it comes to and guess what? You're always going to be the little brother, the little stepsister to Bama. I'm sorry, Auburn. It just is what it is. You're the second class citizen of the state, but
kind of like USF.
Yeah, kind of like Florida right now. We're the bad little stepsister to Miami.
I was trying not to take a shot at you. I was trying to take a shot at the South Florida people from last week.
Yeah, that too. UCF and USF will always be the little sisters of the poor. Hopefully, we can make them that next week. But they might.
Think about it. UCF ain't poor.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the funny thing.
Like they got a good coaching. They got a good coach in Malzahn. They got a good they're in the hotbed in Central Florida. They got all the making. They're now in the Big 12. So
you got to just choose to spend that money.
Auburn, for Hugh Freeze to basically throw your quarterbacks under the bus, blame everybody else, but not those are things you can't do that, dude. Keep some of that stuff in house to yourself.
Even if it's true, even if it is true, you just can't say it out loud.
Well, guess what? You're in your own fault, buddy. You didn't go get a damn quarterback. This is the portal world, man. Go get a quarterback. If you didn't like Peyton Thorne, go get a quarterback. You didn't do that. And obviously, whoever you recruited, they ain't the guy. One of those guys is Denny's guys Denny's track record with quarterbacks right now. Carson Beck better step it up.
Yeah.
But, they didn't get a quarterback. Peyton Thorne, we saw what he was last year. You really were going to be like, let's run it back with Peyton Thorne. So they've got some dynamic receivers that we can't see.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to be portal bound, man.
Yeah, I think OU is going to win. I think OU is going to cover the 2.5, 3, wherever it is now. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I just the tweet you sent me earlier with him, and then I saw all the other stuff, and I'm just like, what is this guy doing right now? Yeah, especially the fragile egos of today's college players. Guys don't want to hear that. He's probably going to be able to get a lot of the top recruits in from Bama and the surrounding areas because a lot of times they don't pay attention to that type of news per se. But you can't say the parents aren't looking at it and the parents aren't saying, hey, you sure you want to go there? I mean, he's still going to get guys there just because of his scheme and his system. And it's still Auburn at the end of the day. But the guys that are paying attention and these kids are becoming more – I did take a shot at them, but at the same time, they are more savvy than – a lot of previous generations when it comes to business and schools and whatnot. But that's just not a good look, like you said. And for Auburn, they don't play that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. Because if he doesn't make it there, he's gonna have to go back to a group of 5 school and waste away.
Guess what, buddy? You want to know their next 5-10 games or the rest of their schedule?
Sure.
They're figure it out. Obviously, somehow get a win at home against Oklahoma, which, like I say, I don't think they are either because I think Oklahoma's defense is pretty good.
Yeah,
and we've seen Auburn's their biggest struggles are on offense. So I think with maybe the quarterback change, Oklahoma has got enough. The next 3 games after that, all road games at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky. Then they come home and play Vandy, the startup team.
Yikes.
The next winnable game that looks easy is Louisiana Monroe to close it out with A&M and at Bama.
They're not going to a bowl game. They're not going to a bowl game.
No way.
They are not going to a bowl game.
I can't find 4 wins out of those.
They have 2 wins right now?
Yeah, they're at 2-2. If you give them Vandy and Louisiana Monroe, that puts them at 4. But where are they? We'll give them Kentucky.
Yeah, give them Kentucky.
That's what I'm saying. They ain't beating Georgia. They ain't beating Missouri. They ain't beating Bama. And they're not beating A&M. So there you go.
Is the Bama game not the last game of the year?
Yeah, Bama game's last game.
Oh, okay. I mean, you just don't know these days because these schedules. I mean, hell, we just had the Civil War last week in the Apple Cup, and
no, that was because those two teams aren't in the same conference
yeah,
anymore.
I know, but you still would think they would want to try to keep it traditional for the last game of the year. He needs to figure out, and the PR people need to tell him, hey man, just shut up, just shut up.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, should be another fun weekend. I think we're really starting to pick it up when it comes to matchups per se, even though we've had some good games, I think the last 2 weeks, but the matchups like Bama, Georgia, and then like we said, October 12th is 3 weeks away. And then I think the SMU, I've been talking about the SMU Florida State game from the previous show. I think this should be a pretty good game. Depending on which side of the aisle you sit on. So and then next week I haven't looked at next week's schedule because Friday night we play VTech. We play VTech Friday night. Tune in, ESPN.
Tune in, baby. Friday night football. You get to watch the Canes on a standalone game, and then you get to sit back and just enjoy Saturday because it's like you're on a bye because you get your win on Friday.
Hey man, I got to enjoy these Canes because my Bears are Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The NFL, man, is a tough league. We were talking about the Jags.
It is real.
If you think the Bears are bad, like I say, our local team is pretty
Jags
bad.
Hot.
What's crazy is there has been a lot of bad NFL football to start the season
because they don't play as much as they want to say they play these controlled scrimmages. You still need more snaps.
Well, like I say, prime example. Cincinnati's 0-3.
Yeah.
Baltimore just got their first win. San Francisco's 1-2.
Dallas is 1-2.
Mahomes looks like Mahomes, and they've been good, but they also, are a few plays away from where they, didn't go their way. And
I just feel like, and think about when they get rid of the next 2 more preseason games, how bad it's going to look.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to at least say, well, if we get rid of preseason games, we got to increase the practice. Like, you hate to sound like that old guy on the hill and saying when teams were practicing every day, 2-a-days and all of that, you got all that funk. You got all that funk off.
Yeah, I mean, the college guys don't do it, so it's like, they don't get a preseason. But I know that's why we talk about week 1 and week 2. You're trying to figure some teams out still, but
But when you're Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, just say even Miami, even Florida State, when you play the Sanfords of the world and teams like that, that is kind of your preseason.
No, for sure. You don't get a preseason game. You don't get a preseason game in the NFL if you're playing a regular season game.
Yeah, you're not even playing.
I don't care if you're playing no, that's what I'm saying. What I mean is
the preseason games are scheduled.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is if you did away with all preseason games, that week 1, you're not playing Sanford. You're playing still an NFL team. So that's,
But for me, it's not even like the tune-up game. But if you just look at the product looks bad. The product looks bad when you look at some of these offensive lines. Like, if I pulled up a bunch of clips and showed you a bunch of these clips of some of these offensive lines and how bad the play is, and you're just going to be like, Jesus, like the one I sent you and Berg, the 4th and 1 at the goal line for the Bears on the option play. If I show you the still, when you see 4 offensive linemen on the ground, your first thought is, as a former offensive lineman, they're cut blocking. But when you watch the play, you're like, they're not even cut blocking. They're just getting their asses kicked, and there's 4 offensive linemen on the ground, and there's 4 or 5 Colts around the quarterback.
Yeah.
And then you just watch the play. Hell, look at Cam Robinson last night.
Yeah, I was just about to say he looked terrible.
Yeah.
He's looked terrible to start the whole year. Like, just not even last night, but he's been bad.
Yeah. And you look at you watch some of these games and you're just watching these guys get beat. And like we talked about this before we, started the pod. A lot of it is the defenses have gotten better. The defensive line play, they're not just big, slow guys. They're just athletes coming off the edge, your Von Millers, your Myles Garretts, and guys like that. Micah Parsons, they're just athletes. But, when you have a good offensive line that could work in unison, they could slow down those stunts and, hey, we can help chip block here and there, and we could slide protection. But if you're not playing together to get that unit as one, you're going to, one guy misses their block, it blows the whole offensive line.
Yeah, no, for sure. You got it. That's the biggest thing. You got to have all five together, because one guy misses, your quarterback's getting drilled, or your running back is stopped in the backfield.
Well, and part of the problem too is, back to Cam, there was a sack Cam gave up, but it wasn't Cam's fault because Trevor started rolling out of the pocket early.
Right.
Instead of stepping up. It's like a dance. It's like a group dance. Like everyone has to do all their things at the same time. If the quarterbacks are running out of the pocket.
What I keep telling people, what happens with that, because they're like, why? I'm like, dude, when you're so used to the offensive line getting blown up, you're trigger happy to get out of there faster. And so you don't want to sit in because you're like, shit, I don't got enough time. They're coming.
Do you want to be like Tua?
Yeah, you start blinking. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem in Florida State with DJ.
Somebody brought it up too. The sport that you love to hate. It's my side sport, 7-on-7. It's become so prevalent. Well, guess what? The clock on 7-on-7 is 4 seconds. Mm-hmm. And in the NFL, they say the average time from when you get the ball to snap it and throw it is 2.5.
Yeah. It's not. I don't hate 7-on-7.
I'm just messing with
7-on-7 has become.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because 7-on-7 is a good thing when you can work with your, quarterback, receivers,
timing,
and
routes.
You get to go against, top-notch competition. Like I say, what we don't like about 7-on-7 is like
they forget there's a defensive line and offensive line out there.
Well, the side show, and then on top of that, everybody wants to win now, so they don't run real offenses. This is one thing that Ross always dedicated. Like, we're going to run real route concepts. We're going to run real plays that you would do in a real football game, not these quad bunches, rub and drags, and mesh. Like, of course, you do that to mix it up, but nobody calls pick routes in 7-on-7. So these teams, that all they want to do is just win. They run what we call rinky-dink cheese offenses that does enough to win. Where it's like, you're not getting better by doing that.
No.
Let this guy really run a dig route out here, one-on-one, man-to-man, with a guy playing heavy inside, and can he get inside and win the route? Let the guy run, the corner route and put it on the money over the top in between a cover two. Those are things that teams aren't doing that in 7-on-7.
Yeah.
But if you're consistently doing that, you're going to get better. And like I say, you speed up that clock to where it is 4 seconds. That's crazy that you're cutting time almost in half. You got to get rid of this ball. That's insane that your offensive line can't block for 2 seconds. Case in point. Right?
Yeah, exactly. 2 seconds.
Boom. Trevor sack.
but that's what I'm saying. But the good quarterbacks could figure it out and just say, hey, I know you got to be able to read that defense and say, I got to go 1 to 2 to 3 quick in that 2 seconds, and know that Von Miller is coming off my left side, and I may have to step up. The pocket presence of today's quarterbacks is like you said. I think with the 7-on-7 though, has gotten them to think, hey, either I stand here or I got to bail quick. And a lot of times you watch some of these games, even AR, you watch AR play, and AR is like, I got to bail. He's bailing quick, and you're like, dude, you got a nice pocket actually. Why are you bailing? And then you bail into the end, and you're giving guys cheap sacks all game because you're just running straight into them.
Yep, totally. Like I say, it's epidemic, man. I don't know.
It has to be figured out, or in 5 to 10 years, football is just going to be like, why am I watching this? Like seriously, I hate to sound like that guy, but it's just moving into that point to where eventually I'm going to have 4 Micah Parsons on the field at D-line, and we're just going to, just beat the guard.
Just
beat the tackle.
That's what do you think high school, when high school, we talk about, you think offensive line's bad in college and the pros, think about,
I already know.
Who can put together 5 legit offensive linemen in high school? And then our MO at Trinity always was, we have no traditional defensive line. We will put a 180-pound guy at D tackle and blow past your guard, like you just said, and be in the backfield, and we're blitzing, bringing more than you got to protect, so you can't stop this. So like I say, it's.
But on the flip side, don't be surprised to see soon some coach, people are going to say he's innovative, hey man, let me get those corn-fed boys, and we're just gonna blow people off the ball. If you're gonna put 100, 200 pound, 180 pound to 200 pound defensive lineman, we're just gonna blow you off the ball and just take our 4 to 5 yards of carry.
Yeah, for sure.
It would look a la the Dallas Cowboys. That's the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. Their front seven is small. And teams that could run the ball like the Baltimore Ravens are going to just line up and say, we're just going to run right at that 215-pound linebacker you have in the middle, because he ain't stopping nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, it was a fun one.
All right, peoples, holler at your boys. Week 5 is on the horizon. Got some big games this week. Appreciate all the love, all the shout outs. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, get your notifications when the pod is up and available. We'll post this later today, and we'll holler at you for another edition of the Talking Ball podcast with me and your boy Faro. We'll see y'all boys next week.
Peace.
Appreciate it.